Howdy, welcome back to Tuesday Guusday. Today we're going to be talking about a deck that may or may not actually exist in the TCG. So this is a deck that has seen decent amount of success over in the OCG. And basically you're just using the Bystials as a basically big numbers to enable synchro combos and abusing cards like Dispater and Excel Stardust, among other things, as well as nice little level 2 guys that synergize very well with the Bystials. But the main problem for us in the TCG is that you can see Chaos Ruler is banned. Now I love this card, I wish it wasn't banned, but I completely understand why it is. Who knows, maybe Konami will try to push this new Chaos Synchro pile and give us this card back, but that remains to be seen. So for now, what is the general game plan with this deck, right? If this deck does end up being remotely playable, which I'm kind of hoping it is, what are some cards that we're going to be looking out for? Number 1 is Ringo Worm and Shinobi Necro. Ringo Worm, if you're not familiar, it's basically 2 level 2 tuners in one body. It's one while on the field, and it can banish itself from the graveyard to summon another level 2 token that can be used as a tuner if you use it for synchro material. So it's 2 level 2 tuners, which synergizes very well with the Bystials because it basically equals, multiple level 8 synchros or multiple level 10s. And the same can be said also for Shinobi Necro, which is a level 2 tuner, but when it's banished by a card effect, aka when you banish it with any Bystial effect, it will special summon itself back, which again is 2 level 2 tuners. So you can kind of see where this is going a little bit, where we're just trying to synchro out big bodies using recurable tuners as well as level 6 and level 8 Bystials. There are a couple of random other cards in here that I'm going to mention before I start getting into the combos, which is Chaos Mirage Dragon, which when it's summoned you can summon a banished light or dark to your field but negate its effects, but you are locked into light or dark synchros for the rest of the turn. So this can be a really good normal summon for the deck if you don't have things like Ringo Worm or Shinobi Necro, or maybe you pitched one of these to the graveyard with Chaos Space. So now your normal summon is open for the Mirage Dragon. Now the downside to this is that it doesn't let you go into Barone, but it does let you go into Dispater, as well as cards like Chaos Angel, and all these other Chaos cards that are all kind of terrible, to be honest, but, Dispater and Chaos Angel are very strong, so being able to turbo these out can be pretty nice. Also, the fact that the Bystials are all just end traps and big bodies that are recursive and really annoying. So, what are some little applications here, right? Let's start with just Shinobi Necro here, because I think this one is the easiest to get a grasp on. So these are all going to be combos without Chaos Ruler, because obviously we don't have that card. And it makes my life a lot easier because I don't have to account for RNG either. So this is going to be Lubellion plus any Bystial plus Necro. Now the Bystials do not require a normal summon at all. What we can do is go ahead and use Lubellion to search for Saronir. If the Bystial you drew was already Saronir, then you probably just want to get Magnemute. So we're going to normal summon the Shinobi Necro here and link it off into Almirage. Next we're going to summon the Saronir by banishing the Necro. Necro will trigger here, summoning itself back. Now we can go into we can summon back the Lubellion by tributing the Saronir, which will then put a Regained into the grave. And then Lubellion will trigger to get the Beast. Now the Regained and the Beast is a whole other advantage engine on its own that I'll get to here in a minute. So we're going to link both of these off here for Dispater. Now Dispater's effect is that it can summon any banished light or dark monster. So what we're going to do, we're going to get back the Shinobi Necro, which was banished by its own effect when you summon it from the banish pile. And we can go ahead and use our second Bystial here to banish the Saronir. Summon out the Magnamut. We can use the Magnamut effect. And what we can do is go into an 8 into Stardust Excel. Now, Excel is going to summon back the Shinobi Necro, because the Shinobi Necro, since it was summoned by Dispater's effect, and not by its own effect, it will actually go back to the graveyard, which is pretty sick, because you can kind of just, loop it from the graveyard to banished, back to the field, and then back to the graveyard over and over again, which is, it's such a sick interaction that you can do with a deck like this. And here we can just make any generic 10 that we want. You probably just want something like Baron, to be honest, because having that negate is nice. Now during the end phase, we're going to activate Beast to grab back our Regained, and our Magnamut will add any Bystial we want to our hand. Druis Worm is going to be the best option, I think. So Regained and Beast, I'm going to talk about these for a minute. Beast is, once per turn during the main phase, if you control a Bystial monster, you contribute a dragon to target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. And Regained is, if a light or dark monster is banished, you can place that monster on the bottom of the deck and draw a card. And once per turn, if your opponent normal or special summons a monster, you can target a Bystial in your graveyard and special summon it. So, in a deck like this, you can constantly recycle the Shinobi Necro, while also drawing cards, resummoning cards, using Beast to pop cards. So it creates basically like an almost, I'm not going to call it infinite, but it's like almost infinite resource loop where you're just recycling Bystials and Shinobi Necro over and over again, just generating a ton of advantage, popping cards, summoning a bunch of synchros every turn. If you can keep Dispater alive, then like you can basically just do whatever you want. Next turn, we'll be able to summon back the Saronir, banish the Necro with our Bystial in hand, and then, just keep making synchros over and over again. So that's kind of the basic game plan of this deck, is that it's a big synchro deck where you are heavily focused on looping resources and drawing cards, popping cards over and over again every turn. Basically, you're trying to just out-advantage your opponent and put up really big monsters that help you accomplish that. So that is the general idea with Shinobi Necro. Let's go over to the Ringo Worm, where it is going to be pretty much the same idea, right? Ringo Worm is another monster that can also just be linked off for Almirage. But what we're going to do first, actually, is we're going to send the Lubellion to get the Saronir, and then immediately banish the Lubellion. So this is like an alternate line that you can perform here. We're going to go straight into the Excel, and we're going to do the Chainlink 1 Saronir, Chainlink 2 Stardust, get back the Ringo Worm. And we're going to send another Lubellion. I believe you can also just send a Regained here as well. We're going to use the Magnamut, banishing our Saronir. Distributing the Magnamut for Lubellion. And we're going to grab back the Saronir, trigger Ringo Worm, go into a Fleur. And then in phase we can add something like a Baldrake, where now we have an extra body on the board to tribute with the Baldrake to basically turn it into a Solemn Strike for extra deck monsters as well as ritual monsters. But you can also just take this combo and basically do the exact same thing that I did in the last combo. Ringo Worm and Shinobi Necro basically do the same thing. You know, you just get to play 6 copies of it, essentially. So you're more likely to draw your little 2-star tuners that start your engine here. So that's all well and good. And of course, we can't forget that Chaos Space is also a very good card in this deck, because we can pitch any dark monster, which can be any Bystial or even Shinobi Necro, and this will search Lubellion, because Lubellion cannot be normal summoned or set, which means it is a valid target for Chaos Space. So then we're just off to the races again, right? We have the Necro Engrave, which means we can kind of just pop off from here, go through our full line as usual. And you can see here that even with a different starting hand, we can end up with essentially the exact same board. So the deck is decently consistent. There are multiple ways to get to your combo, with your 6 level 2s, having multiple Bystials in the deck, Chaos Space, things like that. If we were in the OCG, we would be able to do stuff like, you know, play the Punk engine to go into Chaos Ruler, which can also kickstart the combo on its own. But we won't really be able to do that here, which really sucks, and I think might actually make this deck unplayable. But it will remain to be seen. I'm not an expert deck builder or anything, I'm just the combo guy. So I can only tell you what to do with the cards, not really what cards you should be playing. And then one last thing before I go. You'll notice I have these sprite monsters in here. That's because I don't know if this would really mesh well together or not, but you can play Sprind in this deck in order to dump your Necro and your Ringo Worm. So there is potential for maybe playing some sprite stuff to try to just turbo into Sprind, dump a Necro, and then pop off with your Bystials. There's also things like Beatrice, which you can make if you have multiple Bystials on board. If you have some extras, like maybe your opponent is playing a light or dark deck, so you're able to put out a bunch of Bystials on your opponent's turn, and then when it comes back around to your turn, you can make a Beatrice, dump Necro, and then start comboing off from there. So this deck does have a decent amount of options in terms of getting to your main combo line. It'll just remain to be seen whether or not it's actually functional. And then, of course, we also have Assault Synchron, which will come out a little bit after Cyberstorm Access, when all of the other cards in this deck come out in Cyberstorm Access, like Ringo Worm, Dissipator, all that stuff. So maybe by the time Assault Synchron comes out, the deck will be a bit more fleshed out, and we can actually be able to do something with it, right? Because if we have Synchron, Ringo Worm, and Necro, we now have 3 different options as level 2 tuners, as recurable level 2 tuners, to make even more synchro plays. So there's a lot of options. I'm excited to test this out a bit more, see if it actually does anything. And if there's any little spicy text that I've missed, make sure to drop them in the comments, because I would actually like to know, and I'm sure people that clicked on this video will also like to know. So that is your Tuesday Guusday for this week.